You're so pathetic, David. My brother's laugh cracked like ice. He held up her hand, my grandmother's rings glinting on her finger. Rachel smiled behind him, wrapped around his arm like a trophy he'd won. My ex-wife, his future bride. They stood in my old home, the place I restored brick by brick before it was taken in the settlement. He twirled the ring on her finger. She helped me get everything, the house, the money, the jewelry. You're left with nothing. He leaned closer. And she says I'm better than you, in every way. I didn't flinch, didn't respond. I simply looked at the floorboard near the fireplace, the one I loosened myself 5 years ago to hide something I never thought I'd need, not until now. Rachel used to call him pathetic, back when she used to wrap herself in my shirts, barefoot in our kitchen, laughing about how desperate Daniel was for approval, for legacy, for anything that made him more than a footnote to me. I believed her. I believed everything she said. When we divorced, she said it was mutual, said she needed to find herself. She didn't mention it was in my brother's bed. She didn't mention she'd already moved into our family's estate, my inheritance. That Daniel was helping her through the heartbreak. The court sided with her. She knew the right words to say, wore the right tears. And when the will was read and our grandmother's diamond rings went missing, I didn't ask questions. I should have. But I was too numb to dig, too stupid to see how long the lie had lived under my roof. I started with emails, quietly. I still had access to her cloud backups. She never changed her password. I read every message, every chat, every shared laugh sent while I was in meetings, at funerals, on business trips, building the life she would steal. If he only knew how easy he is to fool. He thinks I'm grieving. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in his mother's chair with your hand between my legs. We'll bleed him slow. I didn't scream, didn't cry. I took screenshots, compiled timelines, matched call logs. Then I called the lawyer who helped set up our grandmother's estate. Turns out she did leave the rings to me, in a private letter, tucked into a sealed envelope. Daniel forged a replacement. Same handwriting, same wax seal, sloppy work. A forensic analyst confirmed it in 48 hours. I said nothing to either of them. I needed one last piece. A month later, I stood in that house, invited under the pretense of civility. They said they wanted to bury the hatchet, so I let them gloat. Watched them sip wine on my grandmother's velvet settee, brag about their upcoming wedding at the same chapel Rachel and I were married in. Full circle, she giggled. Daniel grinned. Everything falls into place, eventually. I agreed. Then I set a small black box on the table between us. No label, no words. He opened it. Inside, the original letter, the real will, the forensics report, and a single ring, mine. He stared, pale, silent. Rachel leaned in, red. Then she looked at me. For the first time in years, she looked afraid. I'm pressing charges, I said, calmly. Fraud, forgery, perjury. The ring theft alone came with a prison sentence. But I'm willing to make it disappear, I added. They looked up. Hope flickered. I leaned forward. You return everything. The house, the jewelry, the accounts you moved offshore. Rachel opened her mouth, but I didn't let her speak. And you both disappear. Together. For good. Daniel trembled. He looked at her like she might speak reason into the silence. She didn't. Because she knew. I had every message, every lie, every admission. And I was ready to burn the world down, unless they gave it back. He nodded, slowly. She cried, quietly. I stood, walked to the same floorboard, lifted it, pulled out the title deed I never filed, the one that still named me sole owner. You should have checked under your feet before you tried to take the ground from beneath mine. It took them 3 days to leave.
The house is silent again. I had the walls repainted, her scent stripped from the sheets. His trophies thrown out with the trash. I don't miss either of them. They were never real. Just a long con dressed in wedding lace and sibling smiles. Now I sit alone in the library. Glass of scotch, fire whispering in the hearth. The rings gleaming beside me. Not because they're valuable, but because they were mine. And now, so is the silence. They thought betrayal would break me, not realizing I was made for it.